Shalom Akim, giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shah Ba'Shem, Rakah, Quadash, double honor to the apostles, bishops, elders of Great Millstone. Salute to the sincere Akim out there of the hopeful elect. All right? Yeah, man. I just wanted to say that, with all this gentrification going on in these black communities and these Hispanic communities and the ghettos and these urban environments, these big cities throughout America, all of you so-called white people and you heathen nations that's migrating into these Israelite neighborhoods, all right, it just proves the prophecies in the scriptures that y'all gonna be the first victims of the race wars, man. And the beautiful thing about it, all right, is how ignorant you are to that fact. You're moving in these impoverished communities. A lot of the communities are being built up, all right. The streets are a little bit cleaner. Certain tenements are being refurbished and renovated, all right. And where there was a lot of vacant lots and abandoned buildings are basically being torn down, and you got new condominiums being constructed, all right, and new houses being placed there, all right. But it's mostly you so-called white people, even some Asians and other heathens moving into those new plush nice buildings, all right, and homes, while on the other hand, Jake, who's been there in those communities forever, since all of the heroin epidemic, crack epidemic, the AIDS epidemic, all right, through some hardcore racism, okay, our people, we still live in the same fucked up predicament, man. Same messed up conditions, all right. So and with the racial tension here in America, because that never dies out, that will never go away, all right. All that's going to do is add fuel to the fire that the Lord is going to bring, all right, which is these race wars. Okay, so I want to get Micah. First scripture I'm gonna get is Micah, the 5th chapter, 5 and 7. It reads, "And the remnant of Jacob shall be in the midst of many people, as a dew from the Lord, as the showers upon the grass, that tarrieth not for man, nor waiteth for the sons of men." All right. So the remnant of Jacob shall be in the midst of many people, as a dew from the Lord. Okay. And Jacob is you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, of course. All right. We are the sons of Jacob. And it's funny how we the most hated people in this world, but everybody is, trying to live around us, through gentrification. Really, they trying to push Jake out the community. But in that process of them doing that, they have to move into our communities, and they clearly hate us, man. They clearly hate us. They come with that Karen attitude when they move into your community. Here it is, you've been living here all these years, all right. Like I said, you went through all of these different epidemics of destruction, all right, attempted genocide by the elites, okay, in your own communities and neighborhoods, all right. And then you got these these new age hippies coming to move into your community, and they got this Karen type attitude towards you, all right, like they're better than you, okay, telling you what telling you what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do, or they're gonna call the authorities and this, that, and the third, okay, all right. The audacity of some of these devils, but nonetheless, this is what's happening. They're coming into your communities, man. All right, and you can, because of shit like that, you can see the tension. You can feel the tension in the air. A lot of black people, they're not feeling that. The so-called white man coming in their community, especially the older Jakes. I'm talking about these new age niggas, these little YNs out here, man. That's they fueled up off that K2, whatever fucking drugs and shit, these high potent drugs that they smoking, all right, and you know, and their mind is polluted with that drill rap. All right, I'm not talking about them, okay? And they half of fags anyway, all right? But I'm talking about the older Jakes, man. You call us old heads now, you know? People that, you know, people in my era that grew up in the 80s and the 90s, all right? And then also folks older than me, old enough to be my parents. You know, a lot of these old fellas and old ladies, they not feeling this shit with these crackers coming in their community, all right? Telling them, you know, trying to dictate to them what they can do in their neighborhoods that they've lived in mostly all their lives, you know? You know, in the summertime, we like to have cookouts and block parties, and we like to blast music loud, you know? But then you got some new age hippie will call the police to tell you to, you know, to tell the cops to tell the people to turn down the music, all right? You know, the music is too loud. They can't watch Friends or hear or whatever fucking little bullshit TV show that they into watching, all right? So the tension is there, man, all right? And the scriptures say, "In the remnant of Jacob shall be in the midst of many people," all right? So, you know, you got these Edomites all in our community. You got a lot of Moabites as well, you know. You brothers see it. It ain't only going on in New York. It's in, like I said, it's in all these big cities throughout America, all right? It says, the remnant of Jacob shall be in the midst of many people as a dew from the Lord, as the showers upon the grass that tarrieth not for man, nor waiteth for the sons of men, all right? So all that tension, all of that buildup of racism is gonna wind up exploding, okay? And that's why I say you gentrifiers, y'all gonna be the first victims of the race wars, man. You know, y'all gonna be the first victims of the race wars. And I ain't talking about this socialist Antifa Black Lives Matter bullshit, you know, fake race wars and, you know, red flags and all of this bullshit. I'm talking about when it really hits the fan, okay? When it really hits the fan, all right? There ain't gonna be no white people protesting with black people on some Black Lives Matter type bullshit. It's gonna be about sticking to your own race. That's when you're gonna know it's really real, okay? All right? You know, when little Jenny from fucking Colorado is not marching, holding hands with Tyrone from Brooklyn, okay? You know, you're gonna have to stick with your own kind, so to speak, all right? It says, "In the remnant of Jacob shall be among the Gentiles in the midst of many people." Okay, and the Gentiles in this case is talking about the natural Gentiles, meaning the heathen nations, those that are outside of the nation of Israel. All right, meaning them who are not so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans. Okay, so you got all of these people. You got Jacob surrounded by all of these people. All right, you got Arabs in the community selling you chopped cheese sandwiches, cigarettes, and all kind of fucking malt liquor and poison, you know, in these little corner delis in the hood. Okay, you got, like I said, you got the Chinese with the little Chinese takeout, you know, a lot of them own laundromats and shit in the neighborhood. You got the fucking coolies, meaning the East Indians, all right? They got liquor stores, they got the Dunkin' Donuts, and you know, certain little shops here and there in our communities, all right? And like I said, you got the white man, these little new age hippies coming in, all right, buying new homes and new apartments and condos in our communities, okay, in neighborhoods that were once considered extremely dangerous, okay, all right, neighborhoods like Harlem, neighborhoods like the South Bronx, all right, Bed-Stuy in Brooklyn, okay, places that a cracker wouldn't dare walk through at night back in the 80s and the 90s, 70s, okay? You know the 70s is a little bit before my time, and in the 60s and all of that, you know? All right? And now you see why, you know, a lot of people in my era, you know, they call us old heads now, you know, Jake's is in your 40s and whatnot, all right? Now you see why we so pissed off when we see these devils in our communities, man. You know, they open up little coffee shops and this, that, and the third, walking their little fucking lap dogs and what have you, all right? You know, like everything is sweet, you know, but the Lord said The Lord said, and the remnant of Jacob shall be among the Gentiles in the midst of many people. And it goes on to say, as a lion among the beasts of the forest, as a young lion among the flocks of sheep. Okay? Because like I said, man, shit is going to wind up being a race riot. Well, it ain't going to wind up. It's going to happen. It's going to actually take place, man. This is prophecy. Okay? All right? You got Trump in office, stirring up that white pride, to all the white nationalists with the MAGA movement and this, that, and the third. And you got a lot of jakes that are brainwashed with the Black Lives Matter movement. So all of this division, racial division in this society is going to lead to a major race war, and it's going to lead to the point where, a lot of these, especially these liberal crackers in these fucking northern cities, man. All right, these guys are straight soft. They straight soft. You can see it, man. It's a big fucking difference between these liberal crackers and them fucking rednecks out there in the Bible Belt, in the South and in the Midwest. All right, who are basically them motherfuckers are ready for war, man. All right, but you got these little computer geeks here in these liberal cities walking around with open-toe sandals and shit, in the summertime, and they not geared for war, man. They're not ready for war. Okay, that's why they're going to wind up becoming the first victims of the race wars in these gentrified neighborhoods, or these neighborhoods that they're gentrifying. Okay, thinking that shit is sweet. All right. It says as a lion among the beasts of the forest, as a young lion among the flocks of sheep, who if he go through, both treadeth down and teareth in pieces, and none can deliver. Okay, so Jake, these underprivileged Negroes, Latinos, all right, in these big urban cities, man, that's having a SNAP benefits being withheld from them, and and they suffering from poverty, and this, that, and the third, unemployment, and all this kind of shit. They gonna fucking lose it, man. They gonna lose it on these crackers, man, that's coming in here in their neighborhoods, all right, gentrifying. It's like dangling a steak in front of a lion. Okay, what do you expect that lion to do? A hungry lion at that. All right, he gonna go berserk, man, eventually. And that's what's gonna happen. You Edomites, you so-called white people, you gonna get fucked up, man. That's what the Lord is basically saying. All right, and that's all throughout the scriptures, man. Race wars, race riots, racism, because the Lord is about the separation of the nations. The Lord ain't with all of that coming together and everybody holding hands and this, that, and the third, and that rainbow coalition bullshit and that nonsense that they push in church. Jesus loves everybody. All right, now that's not the God of the Bible. All right, this is the book of Isaiah chapter 13 verse 14. It says, and it shall be as a chased roe, and as a sheep that no man taketh up. All right, who's gonna be as a chased roe? The so-called white man. Okay, the so-called white man. They're gonna be as a chased roe, getting ran rampant all throughout the fucking neighborhoods in these cities throughout America. All right, they're gonna be getting ran down, beat to death, plummeted to death. Okay, all right. Judah, the so-called black man, what you call yourselves foundational black Americans, you're gonna finally get your reparations in that day. See, a lot of you motherfuckers is expecting a check, but the Lord is gonna give you something better than the check. He's gonna get you vengeance. All right, he's gonna give you the blood of the so-called white man. All right, your oppressor, the one who has oppressed you since they rose up into power. All right, and brought you over here on this side of the earth to serve slavery, reap this cotton fields, tobacco fields, and such. All right, the Lord gonna give us power to finally get reparations, right? It says, and it shall be as a chased roe and as a sheep that no man taketh up. All right, so they're gonna be a sheep without a shepherd, man. Meaning that, you know, 911 is gonna be out of service. So you can understand. You have Trump talking about deploying the National Guard in these different cities, in which he did, but the National Guard ain't gonna be able to do shit. It's gonna be so much chaos in these cities, man, throughout America. The National Guard ain't gonna be able to do a damn thing to help the so-called white man from getting his ass whipped. All right. And, you know, and these Edomites, and it don't just stop with these Edomites, but these rest of these fucking heathens, man. You know, these Moabites. Remember, well, a lot of you don't remember. A lot of you young brothers probably don't remember the riots in LA, but you brothers in LA that lived through them riots, you remember, all right? When Jake was going crazy in LA, man, you know, and you had the Korean fruit stand owners and Korean shop owners, all right? They was all scared to death, man. Okay, they was all fucking scared to death. Brothers was looting their stores. They was putting signs in front of their stores and shit. You know, basically like begging for mercy, man. Okay, you know, saying that they, you know, pretty much that, you know, that they wasn't that you know that they, like, basically saying like they ain't had nothing to do with that shit that happened with Rodney King, you know. In other words, they, you know, we Korean and we trying to stay out of it, you know. Let that shit be a black and white thing, okay? But, you know, them brothers in LA wasn't going for it, man, because recently within that same year, if I'm not mistaken, you had a Korean grocery store owner shot and killed a 15-year-old, I believe Natasha Harlem was 15 years old, if I'm not mistaken. Shot her in the back after accusing her of stealing orange juice, man. Okay, and she was acquitted. The Korean grocer, she you know, went to court, whatever, faced murder charges and got acquitted for that, you know. So that tension was there, man, you know. So Jake, our people, the nations are our enemies, man, you know. So you had a lot of them Koreans, they ain't want no fucking smoke, man, during that LA riot, man. All right, but guess what? You gonna get the smoke. All you fucking heathens gonna get it. Every last one of you, man. Okay, it don't just stop with the so-called white man. All right. It says and it shall be as a chased roe and as a sheep that no man taketh up, that they shall every man turn to his own people and flee everyone into his own land. Okay, so it's gonna be, that's how you're gonna know it's real, when everybody goes back to dealing with their own. All right, like I said, it ain't gonna be no Becky and Tyrone marching talking about Antifa and Black Lives Matter. Okay, no peace, no justice, and all that bullshit rallying. All right, holding hands, you know, like you had Martin Luther King with the civil rights movement. All right, ain't gonna be none of that shit, man. You know, black man gonna stick with his kind, so-called white man gonna stick with his kind. All right, and guess what? You crackers gonna get your asses whipped. All right, you Chinese motherfuckers, y'all gonna get fucked up too. Y'all gonna get a foot up your ass as well, man. Any of you heathens that are in Jake communities are gonna get served. All right, you Arabs, you East Indians, you fucking Hamites. All right, you know, that's why I'm glad you Somalians is getting kicked the fuck out and getting deported. Donald Trump is deporting your asses, man. Okay, and now all of a sudden you want to be niggas. All right, you want to call yourselves like black Americans now, man. You know, the fuck out of here, man. You know, when all hell break loose, you goddamn Africans, you gonna get a foot up your stinking ass too. Okay, it says everyone that is found shall be thrust through. That's right, everyone that is found shall be thrust through. So if you found joining hands with the so-called white man and one of these other nations, you niggas out there trying to defend your zaddy, okay, then you're gonna get thrust through. You're gonna die right along with the fucking white man, straight up. Okay, China man, any of these goddamn heathens, if you try to protect them, try to look out for them, all right? Because we ain't got no time for no goddamn Benedict Arnolds and fucking coons, man, all right? You know, it's gonna get real out here, man. It says, and everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword, okay? And it don't stop there. Verse 16, their children also shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes. So we ain't gonna have mercy on they fucking babies either, man. You know, they little brats. Y'all thought Sandy Hook in Connecticut was some shit. Wait till all hell break loose all over America, man. Okay? All right, wait till all hell break loose throughout America. Y'all gonna be in for some shit. Y'all gonna see little kids getting fucking bodied left and right, man. All right? We're gonna be cold like Nat Turner was, man. You know? We're gonna be, Lord gonna put that cold spirit on Jake, man, to kill your kids, man. All right? It says their houses shall be spoiled and their wives ravished. Okay? Yeah, so your house is gonna be broken into and your wives gonna be ravished. Them brand new homes and shit. You know, them condos and all of that y'all living in these gentrified communities. All right? We gonna raid all of them shits. We gonna raid them new homes, them new houses, all right? Them newly constructed condominiums that y'all got popping up all over Jake neighborhoods, all right? We gonna raid all of that. We gonna spoil it, man. Take whatever goods y'all got in there, raid your fucking refrigerators, you know, drink your liquor supply, all right? And your little sweet Penelope, you know, if she fine, all right, she gonna be a bed wench for that day, man. All right, against her will. That's what the scriptures is saying, man. All right. So, you know, I'm gonna end this video on that note, man. I'm gonna say shalom wa barakim to the brothers out there of the hopeful elect. Shalom, Lord willing. I'll see you in the next one.